This video is brought to you by PlayTracker, the app that tracks your cross-platform game library, achievements, stats, friend activity, and more. PlayTracker works by connecting to a wide variety of gaming platforms: Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, GOG, EA Origin, and, as of the latest update, Nintendo, Epic, Retro Achievements, Ubisoft, Battle.net, and Riot. It then combines all of your profile data in one place so you can acquire XP, level up, and unlock rewards no matter where you play. Have you ever been watching one of Second Wind's streams and found yourself thinking, hey, I bet I've logged in more hours of Super Smash Bros. Than KC, earned more achievements in Souls games than Jack, and tried more games than Yahtzee has tried on Yahtzee Tries? If so, you're a sick, twisted individual. And we want you to join our guild on PlayTracker. Put that gaming prowess to use and unlock Second Wind-themed profile cosmetics. Keep up with our latest videos on your social feed and earn your spot on a leaderboard of our top fans, which I like to look at every morning to keep myself humble. Unite your gaming multiverse with PlayTracker and join the official Second Wind Guild today.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Firelink Podcast, episode number 102 for Thursday, March 19th, 2026. Marty Sleeva here, joined by producer Eric, and that's it. It's just us. Nick is still off on his well-deserved European holiday. He'll be back next week. Casey had to take a little bit of time off for a personal matter. He should be back next week. But you know what? The show's got to go on. And we're going to be here. It's honestly been a decent week for news as well, so I'm like kind of excited about doing this. We're considering this a little fireside chat, as Brandon in the Patreon commented. I'm in my FDR era. If y'all remember back in the 30s and 40s, FDR would hold fireside chats where he let the American people know, listen, the Great Depression's fine. World War II is fine. Everything's going fine. That's what this is. This is me and Eric here to tell you guys it's going to be fine. Even whether or not it is actually going to be fine, we're just going to lie and say it's going to be fine. We have, like I said, a solid show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about this Crimson Desert embargo drop. I have not played any of it. Eric's actually played quite a bit of it for a video going up tomorrow, but just want to talk about the conversation around the embargo drop. Then we'll be touching on the Nvidia DLSS 5. What's a good word for it? Fiasco? A slapdashery that kind of broke the internet this week. Just giving it a little touch because tomorrow is going to be DevHeads are going to be, or that's the main topic on DevHeads. Spoilers. The main topic of DevHeads is going to be on the DLSS 5 kerfuffle, and they are way smarter than I am. So obviously they'll have a lot more to say. We'll just touch on it a little bit. We'll give a little sprinkle. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Spoilers. Thoughts aren't positive. Thoughts aren't positive whatsoever. We'll be talking about the update to the Crafton Subnautica lawsuit, which, again, Nick and Eric did a couple, I think 2 episodes of Unpacked last year on. However, a ruling came down in the court case that resulted in a genuinely insane scenario that I did not expect, and I don't know how is going to unfold. But between that and the Afroman lawsuit and trial this week, it's been a great week for trials, just like an A+ week for trials. Also want to give a little bit of thought on the Keeley Oscars. And I'm calling them the Keeley Oscars because the Oscars occurred over the weekend. We'll be going again on Tuesday. Smarter people will be here. Jack and Darren will be here, giving their thoughts on the Oscars. However, Jeff Keeley had some real sharp thorns pointed at the Oscars for a omission during the In Memoriam segment that I wanted to touch on because that weaves into our video game coverage. And then we have your Patreon questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about Pokopia because I love those little pocket monsters. I mean, maybe even we take a little trip. You know, we check over our shoulders. We put on our trench coats. We head out into the night and we turn around into Weeb Corner. Might give you guys a little bit of weebery. So let me tell you, the One Piece. I don't know if you guys have heard of this One Piece. There's a couple folks on a pirate ship. Delightful. A delightful live action show that is making me watch the anime for the first time ever, which is very exciting. And of course, thank you all so much. Again, like I mentioned, we're gonna be coming at you with some of those Patreon comments. I already see a bunch of super chats coming in hot and heavy. Appreciate y'all. I don't know what kind of an episode this is going to be. I don't know how long it's going to be. At a certain point, I just might get winded and be like, maybe we're done. I told Eric already to like queue up something because I might have to pee halfway through this. You guys know I stand up and I like peeing. I don't like holding in my pee. But we're here together. This is going to be fine. I feel like the show would be shorter if I actually got into it instead of just like talking about all these possibilities, but it's fine. It's fine. I got my liquids. Everything's good. A little housekeeping before we jump into the first story. I had a couple videos go up this week since the last episode. The Resi 9 video, my Resi 9 thoughts about how Resident Evil Requiem is a Resident Evil game about Resident Evil game, with an incredible edit by Eric. Let me tell you, Eric, we call him 3-time Eric because he finished the game 3 times and then played a bunch more of it a 4th time. That went up over the weekend. Highly recommend you guys give that a watch. It is a lot of spoilers. So if you are not done with Resi and you don't want to be spoiled, steer clear. However, I'm very, very happy with that video. And then earlier this morning, we had a video go up that Jesse Galena did a bang up job of editing. My thoughts on Pokopia. And Pat Manathan crushed it with a thumbnail. I'm going to tell you 90% of the views, I'm solely basing on that thumbnail. That one, relatively spoiler-free. One person got upset that I spoiled the appearance of Pikachu, but Pikachu was in a pre-release trailer. And if it's in a pre-release trailer, baby, you're golden. You got yourself a stew going. You can't be spoiling what Nintendo spoiled. So yeah, check those 2 out. I'm really proud of those. And Eric and I have another video probably going up in the next couple weeks that I'm excited about as well. I think that is all the housekeeping. I don't want to do Fantasy Critic. They're not here. It's not even fun to do Fantasy Critic if I'm here alone. It's just like me talking about brackets and busting. And I'm not here to talk about busting. If I'm here to talk about busting, you can go to my streams on Friday nights on Twitch. We talk about busting all the time. We talked about busting so much one week, they just cut the stream. We couldn't even talk about busting anymore. Eric put a poll up that's just in front of the chat. I can't even see it. Yeah, it'll be a good episode. It'll be fine. 93%. That's what I look for. But yeah, our first topic. Let's touch on Crimson Desert a little bit. First off, Yahtzee's Full-Matic went up yesterday night at around 5 p.m. Central. That was the embargo. That's when everyone's reviews went up. The game launched. And Nick and Eric will have an episode of Unpacked. Should be up at the normal time tomorrow. So if you want a second take on a little bit of Crimson Desert, tune in tomorrow. The game launched, hit a Metacritic of about 78, which, listen, C's get degrees. That's a C plus, baby. I don't know who's considering that bad. But apparently the folks who look at the stock of Pearl Abyss thought that was bad. Because Pearl Abyss, the game's developer, their stock fell 30% after these reviews went out, after this Metacritic thing. However, listen, I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm not telling you when to invest. This stock is absolutely curving back up once this game is available to buy, which is very soon, because this game is going to sell like gangbusters. And why do I know that? A, because it already has an absolutely insane, rabid fan base that is very angry at any critique of the game. It's like genuinely nuts how much people love this game who have not played this game yet, and how quick they are to tell you you are wrong if you do not like this game. I have not played this game. Honestly, I'm kind of not interested in playing this game, but I'm observing it. It's like I'm at a zoo, and this game is like a lion or some sort of a jungle cat that I'm observing from a distance. But also, I think this game's going to sell well. It is currently the 4th most wishlisted game on Steam. And the only games in front of it, Light No Fire, that's the No Man's Sky follow-up from Hello Games, Valve's own Deadlock, which, listen, this is a whole other bag of worms. A Valve game, one of the most wishlisted games. Is there some shenanigans? Is there some chicanery going on here? Is Gabe Newell on his mega yacht boosting those numbers, pumping them up? And then number 1 is Subnautica 2, which we'll get to a little bit later. But this game's going to sell like crazy. And the reviews across the board have universally kind of praised its scope and its visual fidelity. It is one of those, oh my God, it is such a big open worlds. And they've said that it's myriad of systems. The way they all interact with each other is impressive, if not a little bit daunting. And then the negatives have kind of knocked a milquetoast story, a very slow opening, apparently, which I guess, I don't know, if you're a JRPG fan, you're kind of just like, you're the James Franco meme where you're about to get hung and you're looking over at the guy next to you saying first time. And then combat, which doesn't click with a lot of folks. I know Eric put a couple hours into capturing the game last night and this morning. His review to me was that it felt somewhat like a mix of Breath of the Wild and Kingdom Come Deliverance, which the first part sounded great. Love a little bit of Breath of the Wild. The second part, Kingdom Come Deliverance. I don't know if I need that in my life. Probably don't need that any of that in my life. But I am curious. I'm curious what folks are going to think of this game. It is apparently just stupidly massive. Like, this is one of those, like, oh, you can play this game for hundreds of hours and not even scratch the surface. And folks had this game for several weeks, but still were not able to, see everything in it. So if you love that capital C content, I think Crimson Desert's here for you. I'm just here for Dokkaev. I'm just waiting. I want this game to sell well purely so that Dokkaev gets the funds it needs, because that's the true generational game we're looking for. It's about all I have to say about Crimson Desert, just because I haven't played Crimson Desert. I'm going to play Crimson Desert. Again, Nick and Eric will have an unpack tomorrow, and I'm sure Nick and Casey next week. I know they've put time into it, so I'm sure they'll have some thoughts. Before we move on to Nvidia, I was about to say, do you have any thoughts? And I realize there's just, Casey and Nick just aren't here, so it doesn't matter. But let's go over some super chats really quick. John Lee Wombly, thank you so much. In the Green Gang, 27 months, here for that hard-hitting news and goofs. Appreciate you, John Lee. Captain President with a $10 dono. Also, a little round of applause for Captain President, helping us break that Dokapon goal, not once, but twice this week. We have a soft date in mind for Dokapon. It is late in April on a Saturday. We will confirm that, and it will coalesce quicker to that. But about a month from now, we should be Dokaponin, which is very exciting. Mirith, thank you so much. Oh no, I didn't actually read Captain President's. Captain President just said Marty walks into the studio barefoot. Let me solo her. I don't know if Firelink's seen feet before. Yeah, I've definitely got up and pissed during Firelink. Spoilers, I don't wear socks when I'm at home. I think it's weird. Why do I need to wear socks at home? This is my house. I vacuum. Got nice carpets, shag rugs, and whatnot. Mirith, thank you so much. In the Green Gang said, Marty, you're great at podcasting. Keep it up. Thanks, Mirith. I appreciate you. You're a mensch. Ryan Betts, thank you so much for the $2 dono. I tried to rent Marty Supreme and ended up here. Both of us have received the same amount of Academy Awards, which is 0. Which is a travesty in my mind, but we'll talk more about that when we get to the Oscars. Caden, thank you so much with $5 Canadian. First chance to catch one of these while I was at work. Looking forward to celebrate 100 episodes of Firelink. What a disappointing first episode. To be like, oh, I'm excited to see my friends Casey and Nick and everyone here for a full episode, and then you just get me. You just get this nasally mouth breathing Polak who's out here telling you that his big Crimson Desert is too scary, and all he wants to do is go to his Pokemon village and just hang out with his Farfetch'd and his Zigzagoon. Haven't found a Zigzagoon yet, by the way. I don't know if anyone has any tips on where to find a Zigzagoon. I'd appreciate that. Inverse, thank you so much with the dono. Here's more money for the solo cast. Y'all have deserved it. Y'all deserve a podcast. You don't deserve no podcast. You deserve a podcast. Whether it's good or bad doesn't matter. You just deserved one. Minduel, thank you so much with a $2 dono. If Eric says a single word, I'm leaving.
A single word.
God damn. God damn. You should voice Pokemon, Eric. I came upon a Jolteon in the Pokemon anime the other day, and his voice was just a man saying Jolt, 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 which was very upsetting. I didn't like the fact that that's how Jolteon sounded. That's not how he should sound. Like, you got to put some sort of spin on that. Put a little English on that. Not English like the language, English like the pool shot. It's fine. If you know pool, you get it. And if not, you probably just think I'm racist. It's fine. Whatever. Rocket Powered Redneck, thank you so much for the $5 dono. We need to make the highest super chatted stream in Second Wind history. Don't, because people are going to want me to do this again. I don't think I got it in me. Unless I'm like LeBron and all of a sudden I got one more left in me. Which could happen. Laboratory Maniac, thank you so much for the $2 donor. Here's for Marty Link podcast episode number 1. I mean, this would have been funny if this was the 100th episode and it was just me. Would have been kind of a mess. Murray, thank you so much for the $5 Canadian dono. There's a Yule log fireplace video with Nick Offerman drinking scotch and staring at the camera. The Second Wind Yule log will be Marty with a fireplace and his Switch. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, honestly. That's actually, I might write that down. Ooh, a fireplace video for Patreon for the holidays is a good idea. Eric, can you write that down or like put that somewhere? I have plenty of things, but like I can't write and talk at the same time. It's very difficult. It's like chewing your gum and dribbling basketballs, but I like that idea. It's also I've realized this is the first solo pod I've ever done. I've done conservatively 1,000 podcasts in the last 15 years between on IGN. I was on Podcast Beyond. I was on Podcast Unlocked, and I was a regular guest on Game Scoop. And then between that, the podcast at The Escapist and this, I'm probably breaching 1,000. Never done a solo pod. It's exciting. I do a lot of solo streams. Fucking 5 days a week I do a solo stream. Never a solo pod. Very exciting. Snake, thanks for the €2 dono. Appreciate you always, Snake. For Marty's continual optimism in a dark, dark world. That's all I got. That's all I just can't be jaded. Like there's so I would just crumble into dust. That's all I could do is try to be positive. The comments on my Pokemon video this morning, by the way, 98% incredibly positive, just incredibly sweet. 1% upset at the Pikachu spoiler, which I get that, like you wanted to play the game, but you should, if you're that upset at a reveal that was shown in the promotional material, you just probably shouldn't have clicked on the video. Although the thumbnail wasn't really good, and so I get why you clicked on it. Pat Manathan fucking crushed that thumbnail. The last percent of the comments were, Marty, I think you're depressed. I was like, it's fucking 2026. Who isn't, my friend? That's what the therapy's for. Caden, thank you so much. $2 Canadian. What are your final thoughts on Gurren Lagann? I fucking loved it. I am so glad. It was tough to get into. I tried several times and it was just sandpaper. I was not able to vibe with it. Finally, because of a podcast I love, Get Animated, a spinoff of Get Played, they were doing a full watch along of it, and finally decided to jump into it, and I'm glad I did. It clicked with me, and I thought it was beautiful. It was like silly. It was hype as shit. It had an incredible message. Believe in the me that believes in you. Like I don't know. I'm crying at a lot of stuff nowadays, but like the ending of that show genuinely made me tear up. It was beautiful. Steady Goblinwood, $2 dono. I'm going to be a dad in June. That's all. Mazel tov. Steady Goblinwood. Love to hear that. Love good people bringing new people into the world, because we need new good people in the world to counteract the bad people. I love that, Steady Goblinwood. Congrats to you and yours. Minduel, thank you so much, a $2 dono. Not used to me looking in the camera so much. Someone's not a subscriber to my OnlyFans, apparently. Disappointing, Minduel. Sussy, thank you so much, a €10 dono. I read the description for Crimson Desert on the Steam store page, and it sounded so bland, derivative, and cliche, and I decided on the spot to get Death Stranding 2 at full price instead. Love to hear that. Death Stranding 2 is now on PC, I believe. I think Kojima just released a trailer. I'll be talking about Kojima in a little bit with this NVIDIA stuff. Should I go over the NVIDIA stuff? There's like a bunch of... No, we only got a couple super chats left. I'll do these super chats, and then I'm going to go over the NVIDIA stuff. But shout out to Kojima. Rylan Quake, thank you so much. $5 dono. Props to Marty for soloing today. It's not easy, but he's out here anyways. Also, just to brag, every game I want this year, I backed on Kickstarter. Like to hear that. That's putting your money where your mouth is. Your mouth where your money is? You don't want to put your mouth where your money is, because money is filthy. Money and doorknobs are two of the historically dirtiest things in life. So don't put the mouth where the money is. What are those games, by the way? I'm curious to hear what those games are. Kid Barchetta, thank you so much, a $2 dono. Solo Marty podcast, the most wholesomest in the world. You're not going to know. Might get crazy. Might get fucking buck wild. We might say some off the cuff stuff. Minduel. Thanks to the dono. I'm getting nervous without a game in the background. We'll talk about games soon. And you're not going to like the look of the games we're talking about. I guarantee it. I'm like Men's Warehouse. You're not going to like the way Grace looks in this trailer. I guarantee it. Sandwich Eric. Chef Eric. Back with a $10 dono. Chef Eric's second win game sandwich combo. Number 11. The Schwab, a.k.a. The Editor. Little chicken salad with celery, red grapes, and fresh tarragon, red leaf lettuce, tomato, and red onion on a toasted white bread. I fucking love chicken salad with a little bit of red grapes, maybe even a little bit of nuts in them. Oh, and Jesse Schwab. Jesse Schwab, one of the greatest editors I've ever known in my life. I've known a lot of good editors. He's right up there. Thelma Studebaker? Scorsese's editor? I don't think I said the name right either time. Jesse's better. Thank you, Chef Eric. If you have not been following Streams and Pods, Chef Eric has been creating sandwiches based on various members of Second Wind. Already the 11th one. Incredible. We're gonna put them in a book. We're gonna put it on the racks at your local Borders books. Might not exist anymore. Doesn't matter. We're gonna bust in and we're gonna put them on the racks. Hartree. $5 dono. Thanks, Hartree. Props to Marty for going full Colin Coward today. I've listened to enough Bill Simmons solo pods to where I'm like, if Bill Simmons can do it, I can do it. That's actually not true. Bill Simmons is the podfather, literally created this art. So I would never compare myself to Bill Simmons other than I would love to someday have as much money as him. That'd be nice. And I'd like to be able to drive home NBA rookies after a podcast. That would also be nice. That was a weird deep cut. Frog Parts, $2 dono. Thank you so much. Marty should argue with himself like Gollum and Schmeagol. I mean, I might get into an argument with myself. There might be something where I start to have a hot take on Nvidia DLSS 5, and I end up disagreeing with myself. Kid Barchetta, thank you so much. $2. I support Marty breathing during pods. Air Riders, listen, we gotta breathe. Like, I don't even know when. Usually, I breathe when I'm not talking. I don't know when to breathe now. I should put in notes in the run of show of like when to breathe. Like, this is the part in the topic you should take a breath. But whatever, haven't passed out yet, so it's fine. That was probably a loud breath. Apologies to anyone listening. Whatever, I'm here alone. Just fucking deal with it. I don't know how to fix this. I got that thing. Jay had me buy that thing, a cloud lifter. I don't know what was going on with it. I hope it fixed it. If it didn't, whatever. Fucking, we'll try better next time. Jewel Rao, thanks for re-upping the tip jar. Deebs, $2 dono. Thank you so much. Have we talked about the Afroman situation? We have not. I'm gonna tie it in though with a topic coming up. But thank you, Deebs. Deebs, you really put me on that Afroman, and I appreciate that. B Smalley, $5. Entering your talk radio era. Marty, Rush, Lex, Beck, Ball, Limbo, Jones, Sleva. Can't wait to see what your fun new bespoke ways to this new talk radio implodes America. Couldn't be worse than the last one. Couldn't be worse than the anger that previous talk radio has strewn across the country. Just existing. Thank you so much for the dono. Yakuza Kiwami 3 is pretty fun. Have you tried it yet? No, I haven't actually. I've never, I played 0, Kiwami 1 and 2, never played 3, 4, 5, or 6. And then I got back on the train with 7 / Like a Dragon and then Infinite Wealth. I've heard good things. I know it's on Switch 2. I love my Switch 2. I'm going to need something to play after Pokopia. Some people were upset at something in this game. I can't remember what it was. I think they were mad at, like, they may have changed a cast member or they may have futzed with some lighting. I don't know what happened. People were mad. It was the internet, though, so people are always going to be mad, if we're going to be honest. Blue Team, $5 dono. Thank you so much. Vibe picked High Point beating Cheeseland in my NCAA men's basketball bracket. Congrats. First off, shame on you, Wisconsin, for losing in the first round, a 5 to a 12 seed, although that happens relatively often, 5 to 11, 6 to 12, whatever it was. But shout out to High Point. I don't even know what that is. And they beat Wisconsin. Fucking the diaper dandies right there. Then Ryan Allen, thank you so much. $5 dono. You slide dog, Lumen Tail, and Sacrifice are the biggest food devils. Hymn to the Earless God and Lancer Tactics are also up there. Listen, we're just vibing. We're just pod vibing. It's fine. Okay. Topic number 2. This is going fine. This is going to be just touching a little bit on the Nvidia DLSS 5 stuff that kind of broke the internet when it popped off. And again, DevHeads, this is going to be their main topic tomorrow. The three of them literally have made video games, understand video games. Tina and Mikey have worked in AAA. Tina has shipped mega AAA games, understand this way more than I do. So please tune in tomorrow for them and Eric on DevHeads at noon Central tomorrow. They'll be talking about this, but this stemmed from Nvidia had a little GDC presentation where they showed off their new DLSS 5 technology, specifically across a couple of games like Hogwarts Legacy, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Oblivion Remastered, Starfield, and Resi 9, which is probably the most the one where a lot of the conversation has gone around. And according to them, quote, DLSS 5 arriving this fall, this is Nvidia, introduces a real-time neural rendering model that infuses pixels with photoreal lighting and materials. DLSS 5 is the company's most significant breakthrough in the computer graphics since the debut of real-time ray tracing in 2018. DLSS 5 will be supported by the industry's biggest publishers and game developers, including Bethesda, Capcom, Hota Studios, NetEase, NCSoft, S-Game, Tencent, Ubisoft, and Warner Brothers Games. Sure enough, this footage appeared online. This little presentation, accompanied by Digital Foundry gushing, a video of them gushing over it. Which these two things immediately sent up red flags, and people were like, "This kind of looks like shit, and this looks like generative AI." This is not just the upscaling we have come to know and honestly respect from DLSS. This feels like Nvidia, one of the biggest tech companies in the world and one of the biggest backers of AI, hedging their bets and force feeding this down our throats. And the fact that they didn't foresee this reaction, I think, shows just how shockingly out of touch these incredibly rich tech moguls are. My immediate thought to this was it felt gross. It feels anti-art. And CEO Jensen Huang said that in an interview with Tom's Hardware, to the negative reaction, said, first off, they're completely wrong, which is a great way to win people over to your side when they have legitimate concerns with what you are shoving down our throats. The fact that you just say you are wrong, always a great way to win over some people. But they said, first off, they're completely wrong. He then reiterated, it's not post-processing. It's not post-processing at a frame level. It's generative control at the geometry level. This is very different than generative AI. It's content control generative AI. That's why we call it neural rendering. Again, I don't know how this shit works. I am ignorant. I do not know how this tech works. But when I look especially at the image of Grace from the opening of Resi 9, when she's walking down the streets of Renwood and about to go into the hotel, and they do the little side-by-side, and you see Grace in the game, who looks great. At no point in playing Resident Evil 9 was I ever like, man, I wish this looked different. The version of Grace they create is this yassified influencer, selfie-light, artless facsimile of what this character is. That goes against who this character is. This character is terrified. She's walking down the streets, about to go into the hotel where her mother was murdered in front of her eyes. Like, her PTSD is manifesting. And they thought it'd be a good idea to fucking yassify her. And to have the gall to say, this is just lighting, baby. What you're seeing, this is just a lighting change. If you think we used any AI to futz with facial features here, you are wrong, is clearly bullshit. Look at this with your own eyes. We see this across, I'm not going to get into a political rant, but we're just in an era where rich people will tell you, oh no, you can't believe what you see with your eyes and ears. When you're looking at this shit and you're like, clearly this is what you're doing. Like, look at the mascara, look at the eyeliner, look at the lip filler. Like, they have changed geometry on her face to make her look characterless. She looks like the AI slop you see all the time on the internet. It reminded me of you'll come across an image of like an AI created apartment loft. And it's like, at first glance, you're like, what is this, a real place? And then you start looking, you're like, no, this is clearly not a real place. Like the toilet is next to the washer and there's vines hanging from the ceiling in Manhattan. And it's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like upscaling. It just feels like it changes the entire purpose of the scene, the intent it removes. And they say, oh, this is supposed to be a tool that we give to the developers and they can use it. I've talked to developers and they don't want to go on the record because obviously it is very hard to get a fucking job in this industry as is, and they don't want to lose their jobs. I've talked to developers who work at these studios, who work at some of the aforementioned studios, and they say they were blindsided by this because this was probably agreed upon by the higher ups who, when two billionaires get in a room together, of course they're going to agree to this and not consult the people who actually make these characters. I think it's fucking disgusting. And I think the one bright spot is the fact that this inaugural video has 16% likes on YouTube as of now. And to put that likes to dislikes ratio, and to put that in perspective, most of our videos are 95 to 98% likes to dislikes. So the fact that a video could get 16% means the people have spoken and vehemently are anti this. Whether this will change anything, I don't know. Also, yeah, John Blee, that's a great point. In order to get this, you need to run it on two 5090s, two GPUs. And the reason this shit is expensive is because of companies like Nvidia, is because of this AI boom. That's the reason why building a computer is so fucking expensive. That's why everything in our life that has a computer chip, from switches to Xboxes, to refrigerators, to cars, to anything, is going to get expensive because of this gambit, the Svengali gambit by these con artists trying to trick us that this is what we want from the future, as opposed to, hey, remember when games had art direction behind them? Remember when games, had a sense of style behind them? Remember when there was artistic intent behind them? It's incredibly depressing. Again, that's just my take on it. I am a relative layman to all this. Tune in to tomorrow's Dev Heads for a much more in-depth take on this. Excuse me. I'm already needing water. Tune in to tomorrow's podcast. They'll go way more in depth on this. Before we move on to the next topic, let's go over some super chats. How you doing, chat? Welcome back. Where did we get to here? Captain President, thank you so much. A $10 dono. DLSS 6 to just add extra boobs to everything. I mean, you joke. It doesn't seem like we're that far off. Like, this feels like those grifters online who are like, you know how you can make Ellie more attractive in The Last of Us 2? Give her mascara and increase her cup size. And I'm like, you fucking heathen. Do you even understand what this game's about? And it just feels like that's what they're doing. It feels like they're appealing to the lowest common denominator, who kind of just slack-jaw looks at an AI image and is like, this is what I want. Why do we need artists in real life? Also, a lot of this just feels like they want to slowly edge out expensive 3D artists so that you can make this kind of thing just using cheap AI and not using actual human beings. Sucks. Inverse. Thank you so much for the dono. This DLSS 5 AI shit just makes me want to burrow into retro gaming even more. I hear you. I hear you. I don't. I imagine if we were if like somehow the technology of streaming and how we look at games was the same in the 90s as it is now, just with those 90 games, I do wonder like what we would get outraged at and what we'd get upset at. But it just seemed like a simpler time, right? Minduel, Thank you so much for the $2 dono. Holy shit, you're the new late show host, aren't you? Mindy, we can't talk about that yet. Contracts still waiting to be signed. Ink still drying, so let's pump the brakes on that. Jay, thank you so much for the $5 dono. What is going on? Is this like the SNL weekend update and Marty is the lead anchor? By the way, congrats on hitting the Doke or Die goal twice today. Well, to be fair, it was the second time today. The first time was Monday, so... I need to take moments to remember to drink. Even the best pods, y'all need to drink a little bit during them. But yeah, we're very excited about that. Thank you, Captain President. Thank you, everyone else who supported that. And we have a rough date set. Like I said, it's going to be late April, but we'll start solidifying that as we get a little bit closer. It should be a Saturday though. B Smalley, thank you so much for the $5 dono. I don't think the Resident Evil character covered in zombie goop and tears needs to be goonable. Don't understand who this is for. It's not for the majority. I gave it that percent. 8% of people gave it a thumbs up compared to the 92 who gave it a thumbs down. Agree with you there. Frozen Socks, thank you so much. A $10 dono. That sounds nice to have on a hot summer day. Marty, I appreciate you running the show by yourself. My friend Omar is also grateful, but he's knocked out right now. Shout out to friend of the show, Frozen Socks' friend Omar. Not to be confused with our own Omar, a completely different Omar. But we love that Omar. Jewel Rao, thank you so much. €5. Making every character into an AI chatbot version is like the Twitter fixes Aloy posts. Also hydrate, please, and thank you. Thank you, Joel. Feeling great now. Apologies to all the mouth noises people are going to hear throughout this. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles, baby. Murray, back with another $5. If there's DLSS to FIFA with celebrities who own the copyright of their own faces, this has to be lawsuit worthy. They did not look like Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, that's right. They did it with the soccer game as well. I forgot to mention that one. Apologies. That's my ignorance there. But yeah, when you start adding that to actual human beings who are supposed to be their human being likeness, you get another sticky wicket right there. What a mess. Sussy Guru, thank you so much. €5. It even ruins the lighting. Look at the Hogwarts example. The original scene had softer sunlight. Slop filter. Wow. 3 things there. Slop filter turned it into a blown out overcast weather. That was the same thing with Grace's scene. That scene is atmospheric. It's raining. It's like it's a dreary ass Chicago day. And they remove that, and they just add that kind of God ray lighting to everything, and it doesn't look. It looks good if you're like a first second squint, and it triggers something in your brain. But the second you start to actually examine it, looks like bunk, big old bunk. Rocket powered redneck, thank you so much. Hydrate or dihydrate, I like that. And I'm drinking coffee, which I think is the opposite of hydrating, but it's fine. Will Cooling, thanks so much for the £5 dono. What's the difference between Street Fighter using polygon/motion capture because 2D artists animators are too expensive and developers using generative AI? It's because humans are creating those polygons and humans are creating those motion capture whereas generative AI is literally pulling from the work of every artist who's come before it, is not paying them, and is building a facsimile of what it thinks this should look like. This is the grace that they are showing us in those scenes is not the grace that these artists intended. It is the grace that a equation thinks is what a human should look like. And the second we as a society give control of the wheel over to that, I just feel like we're kind of donezo, right? The second we're kind of like, you know what, we don't need this human component of AI. I think we're just spent. I think we might as well call it. And I'm not ready to call it yet. Still got a whole pod left. Steady Goblinwood, $2 dono. Thank you so much. Marty said drink, so I opened a beer. Good call. Appreciate that. Always love that. Brick in the Head with a $10 dono. Thank you so much. If there's anything nice to say about the DLSS 5 nonsense, it's that the memes have been S tier. It's been good memes. We got a good thumbnail for y'all tomorrow for dev heads. So check that out. And then Prime Paradiso, thank you so much, a £2 dono. Thoughts on the FF9 anime about Vivi's offspring? I'm thrilled about this. I replayed FF9 a couple months ago, last year sometime. Vivi once again stuck out to me as just a tier RPG character, and I even bought when I was in Japan. I bought a Japanese like a children's book all about Vivi. It's in Japanese. Apparently, an English version's coming out this summer, so I'm going to buy the English version. But I love Vivi, and if you give me a little cartoon that's all about Vivi and his family, I love it. Sounds great. Great. Let's move on to this next one. Hell yeah. Let's talk about this Crafton story, because this is while the DLSS one is infuriating, this is fascinating. Just so I guess to keep you up to date, if you weren't if you didn't watch, the couple of Unpacked episodes from last year. So the parties in this story, Crafton, the publisher, and then Subnautica developer Unknown Worlds, that's the developer of Subnautica and Subnautica 2. So there's an insane update that has happened to this lawsuit that's been going on since last year. So taking us back to July of last year, Crafton, the parent company, announced that it had replaced the Unknown Worlds CEO Ted Gill, as well as his studio co-founders Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire, with Steve Papustas. Steve Papustas had previously served as an executive senior producer at Striking Distance, the developers of the Callisto Protocol, formerly of the Visceral Entertainment. And at first, Crafton said it was because the team was behind schedule. And they said, listen, these developers are behind schedule. This is bad for our bottom line. We need to take care of these top-level folks. We need to get them out of here and put new leadership in. And then a little bit later, they said, well, actually, we fired them because they were stealing documents and code on the way out as we were firing them in an attempt to try to steal the game and self-publish themselves, which isn't how time works. Like you can't fire people based on how they react to you firing them. That's the bootstrap paradox in time travel. That's just not how any of that can work. But this has been in court since then. And last week, a Delaware judge, earlier this week, a Delaware judge ordered Chang-Hang Kim, the CEO of the South Korean gaming giant Crafton, to reinstate Ted Gill after ousting him last year. So literally a judge said, no, you can't fire him. The way you fired him was illegal. He has his job back. So now Ted Gill is back. He is now he's once again the CEO of Unknown Worlds, and Gill has the power to bring back the other leaders who were fired alongside of him. And the insane reason for this is that Kim, the CEO of Crafton, bypassed his legal team and asked ChatGPT for a way to get out of a clause in the contract that he had with them, stating that the leadership of Unknown Worlds would get a $250 million bonus if Subnautica 2 had hit its sales targets. So he ChatGPT and this guy created something codenamed Project X, which that's definitely not an evil name. If something's called Project X, there's definitely no way it's evil. This is the quote from Forbes magazine or from Fortune.com. I'm putting the article in here. They created Project X to, quote, renegotiate the earnout or force a studio takeover. If negotiations had failed, their plan was to lock down Steam and console publishing rights and control over the game's code, and to frame the entire conflict as being about fan trust and quality rather than money, and to prepare systemic legal defense materials while logging all communications. The chatbot even suggested drafting a public-facing message to win over Subnautica fans, a message Kim then asked ChatGPT itself to write. This all backfired spectacularly, alarming the gaming community and heightening suspicions that something was deeply wrong at the studio. Throughout this process, Kim's own team warned him that the strategy was dangerous, but he pressed ahead anyway. And now Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill, after they were all removed from their roles, the court determined that it was for illegitimate cause, and they have their jobs back now. You would think that's the end of the story. But 2 days ago, Crafton, I think trying to be like, no, guys, it's fine. Everything's cool. Nothing's weird, announced, oh, by the way, Subnautica 2 coming out in early access in May. So you guys have something to look forward to. An hour before we went live, a lawyer for Price, the ousted CEO who now has his job back, said Krafton had no legal right to announce that release date, and that it was up to Price and the rest of the team to determine when this game was going to be released. I don't know how any of this can. It would be like like a couple having a nasty divorce, and the judge being like, "No, you got to stay together. you can't. No, you can't. You actually can't get divorced. You gotta figure that shit out." It is truly insane. And to bring it back to one of the super chats earlier, it is one of my two favorite trials this week. The other one being Afroman versus the Adams County Sheriff's Department. If you haven't been following the Afroman trial, the Afroman, the rapper behind the hits Because I Got High from the early 2000s, as well as the 645s and 2 zigzags, baby, that's all we need, was taken to court in a defamation lawsuit from a sheriff's department who literally broke into his home and ruined his front door and seized some of his money and found nothing. And then he took the footage of that police incident and recorded the sickest fucking diss raps and created the most amazing music videos out of it. And then they tried to sue him for disparagement and for causing spiritual woes, because Afroman in one of the songs said he fucked the sheriff's wife. And on the stand, the judge asked the sheriff, well, did he fuck your wife? And the sheriff had to say through tears, I don't know, which is great. This is a good week for two rich and powerful people who abuse their power to get a little bit of comeuppance. So gotta love a little bit of that. The Patman, though, over in Patreon, the $5 tier, thank you so much, Patman, said the Subnautica 2 news feels like a win, but I wonder if it's going to damage Unknown World's relationship with Krafton in such a way that it hurts the game moving forward. I don't know how any of this works. I don't know how any of this could happen. Maybe you could just, I'm assuming they're in different countries, so maybe you could just kind of ignore the Slack messages. But we'll see. I mean, Subnautica 2, like I mentioned before, literally the most wishlist game on Steam right now. The number one most wishlist game on Steam. So this game is going to be a hit, seems like. Whether it's good or not, will sell well. I don't know. Maybe this is just good publicity? Question mark. I don't know. It's all very strange. Let's see if there's any more super chats that come in. Andy Curtis, before we move on to the next one, thank you so much, Andy, with a 10-pound dono, said, I played Strange Jigsaws and 20 Small Mazes the other weekend. Loved them both. Thanks for continuing to put great indie games on my radar, Marty. Thank you so much, Andy. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Yeah, hi, big ol' reco to both 20 Small Mazes, which I believe was free, and Strange Jigsaws, which cost a little bit of money, but both excellent games. I covered Strange Jigsaws in my in the 20 games you missed from 2025 video that Eric and I put together. I'm glad you liked it. I think that game's delightful. And then King Dad, thank you so much. I love any judge who makes a cop cry on the stand. He's like me for real. Seriously. Excellent. Really quick, let's go over this Oscar bit. I'm not going to go over winners or losers. I'm not going to talk about my thoughts on anything, because again, we're going to touch those on Friday or on Tuesdays. Tomorrow's Friday. Next Tuesday's Rewind, Darren and Jack will be with me, and they'll have obviously some smart boy takes on everything. However, I at a surface level, I really enjoyed the show. I thought Conan was really entertaining. A bunch of movies I really enjoyed. So good stuff there. However, our friend and yours, Jeff Keighley, did not have a good time at the Oscars, partly for understandable reasons. So we've brought this up before. Jeff Keighley's father, David Keighley, is one of the pioneers of IMAX. So obviously, okay, going back a little bit, Jeff Keighley of the Game Awards, of Summer Game Fest, you probably guys know who he is. If you're listening to a solo pod, you probably know who he is. His father, David Keighley, one of the pioneers of IMAX, the large format film stock and camera stock that has been, helping kind of keep the theatrical experience alive. He worked directly with folks like Christopher Nolan. The last movie he screened before he passed away was a rough cut of The Odyssey. Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 3 is going to be debuting in IMAX. David Keighley passed away in 2025 and was not included in the in memoriam segment of the Oscars. The Oscars every year includes, an extended in memoriam segment. This one was even longer. There was a lot of, from Rob Reiner to Robert Redford to Diane Keaton. There was a lot of real high-profile deaths this year. David Keighley was not a part of that montage. And Jeff Keighley did not take that was very, very upset at that. And he tweeted out, so incredibly disappointed and heartbroken that at the Oscars and the AMPAS, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, that they chose not to include my father, David Keighley, and his immeasurable contributions to IMAX and cinema in the in memoriam segment in the broadcast. I will never forget that, which is a slightly... like the I will never forget it is kind of menacing. And Eric did point out that it was not included in the broadcast on the show. It is included on the website that has like everyone who died. But Keeley's point stands, minus the I will never forget, which kind of made him sound a little bit like a supervillain. However, he followed it up the next day with the Oscars response. The AMPAS and Oscar CEO Bill Kramer apparently blocked me on Instagram last night after seeing my post expressing disappointment about the broadcast's in memoriam omission of my father. You truly can't make this stuff up. Now, why do we think this happened? My gut genuinely says this is because of Joseph Fares at the Game Awards a few years ago, getting drunk, pointing to the camera and saying, "Fuck the Oscars," with Keighley next to him, just kind of laughing because I don't know what else you do in that response. But apparently the Oscars and Keighley have had beef since then, which I find kind of fascinating. None of this, in the grand scheme of things, is super important, but an interesting way that the Academy Awards themselves kind of intersected with our regular gaming life. So who knows? Listen, rich people, they sure are different, aren't they? So yeah, that was Oscar Chat 2026. Going over a couple Patreon comments that came in. That was our last major news story, but we got a couple good Patreon comments that came in at that $5 tier and above that I wanted to mention. Sandwich Eric, Chef Eric. Chef Eric doesn't just talk about sandwiches. Sometimes Chef Eric asks questions. And in Patreon, Chef Eric said, because I have the same head injury as you, Marty, I started playing Nier Automata and I loved it so much that I resourced a copy from way back of Drakengard. I know that you replay everything, but have you ever sought out spiritual predecessors or specific directors or studios' work after playing a landmark title? Yes, I did that with the video game Drakengard, which I have not played yet. But I probably won't play this PS2 copy. I'll probably play it on my little Retroid Pocket emulator. Yes, I do that. I do that all the time. I find it fascinating to see like where franchises and where artists came from. I did that with, after getting into Persona. I went back and I played Persona 1 and both Persona 2s. I even went back and played some of the real early SMT games. SMT If, that kind of stuff. I went back and played Sweet Home, the Famicom top-down survival horror game that is the spiritual predecessor of Resident Evil. I find that stuff fascinating. I like seeing where my art came from, even if it's weird stuff like Shinji Mikami. Speaking of Resident Evil, Shinji Mikami, before working on Resi 1, worked on the game Goof Troop for the Super Nintendo, which was just included in the Disney Afternoon Collection, the version that came out for Switch. And it's a really fun kind of top-down action puzzle game. And yeah, I like seeing where people came from. I like being like, what is it? I think Sucker Punch, the studio who made Sly Cooper and is now making the Ghost of Yotei and Ghost of Tsushima games. One of their early games was Rocket on Wheels, I want to say, for the Rocket Power on Wheels for the N64. I might have fucked up several of those words. Rocket Power might be a cartoon, but I like seeing the weird shit people worked on. I brought up in my Pokemon video that went out earlier today. I brought up the fact that its developer Omega Force, one of their first games was Winback for the Nintendo 64, which pioneered the third-person cover shooter mechanic That was like Omega Force's earliest game before they went on to do, the Dynasty Warriors Musou series and the Dragon Quest Builders games, and then Pokopia. They almost pioneered third-person cover shooting mechanics before Gears of War did, before Ghost Recon did. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Sasi Guru, thank you so much. €5 dono. I watched the Oscars, and by that I mean I skipped through it to get to all the Conan bits. Conan's a gem. Put him everywhere. I like to think also that he recorded 10 separate outros, depending one for whichever movie would win Best Picture, and they just plucked the other one. So I hope that there's 9 secret endings somewhere out there for us to watch. Another Patreon comment, Charles Reimer, thank you so much. I finally grabbed a PS2 emulator in order to play the first Shadow Hearts game. I played the sequel without context about 15 years ago in college on the original hardware, but the first game was already impossible to get a hold of at that time. I'm already loving it, and I need to replay the sequel. And it does remind me of my favorite era of Final Fantasy, which is 5 through 9. Any shout-outs for unrelated games that remind you of other games that you love, especially so in instances where the older games or gamer games are no longer being made or no longer continue in the same way? Charles, if you haven't, go back to the PS1 and play Koudelka, Koudelka. I played this for the first time last year. This game is the predecessor of Shadow Hearts. The Shadow Hearts team, before creating Shadow Hearts, I think this legally might be in the Shadow Hearts world. A PS1 game named Koudelka, which is the thing it reminds me the most of is like Vagrant Story. It has that kind of vibe to it. The combat system is a little bit like Persona 1 and 2, but it's this really great kind of atmospheric, relatively short story in this Gothic mansion castle with A+ atmosphere, and also probably the best performances of any video game of the 90s. You can hear the actors in the same room giving their performances. You can hear room tone. Like you can hear, it's probably like listening to this podcast where you can hear me breathe. You can hear this chair squeak. You can hear me do big gulps when I'm drinking out of my big gulp. This isn't a big gulp. This is just iced coffee. But it's so interesting that like it feels like you're watching a play in a really cool way. So everyone check out Koudelka if you haven't. Big fan of that. And then finally, Jed. Thank you so much, Jed. Jed, I've seen this comment a few times, and I have meant to respond to it. I've actually put it in a few of the docs and then pulled audibles because we were running late. But fuck it, I'm the only one here. We can't run late, baby. We're fine. Eric and I, we're cruising through this episode. Jed said, hey, could you elaborate on your recent Akihabara experience? I think the last part of your Tokyo travelogue never hit the air, and as I visited Tokyo for the first time last year, I am curious about your opinion. So yeah, I did. I said I was going to write a third part of my Tokyo travelogues. I put the first 2 up on Patreon last year when I went in November. Didn't get around to writing the third part. Life got busy, and I just forget things very quickly. So I just quickly forgot about the experience. But I did mention that Akihabara, which is the famous, the neighborhood in Tokyo that is famous for kind of being like the gaming and nerd culture mecca. Like when you think, like, I think that's where, like, if that's where Steins Gate, the anime and the visual novel, takes place. And it was, when I first went to Japan 12 years ago in 2014, Akihabara felt like this nerd mecca that I hadn't seen anywhere in the US. It had this iconic store called Super Potato, which was this multi-story used video game store, and it felt partly like a museum, and it was it's like it feels like you need to make a religious pilgrimage to that store. I bought all sorts of stuff there at the time. Like you found all these hidden gems, stuff that was cheap. It was genuinely amazing. Cut to 2025 when I went last year, and Akihabara and Super Potato have felt like they have been inundated and become a tourist hell. Now, a lot of Japan has become a tourist hell recently. And again, it's stones at glass houses, right? I was literally a tourist there because the yen is relatively weak. And so the dollar was very strong. So I was able to eat and drink and be entertained there for cheaper than I would if I spent a weekend in Chicago, that kind of thing. But these stores kind of lost their mojo to me. People were lining up before the doors had even opened. As soon as the doors opened, they were rushing in and like rummaging through it. Like it felt like there was like no decorum. It felt like kind kind of animals, like animals at the watering hole. People were filming, and again, I know glass houses and everything. People were just like filming videos and like filming YouTube and social media videos. Like, what's up, guys? I'm here in Akihabara, and I'm like, you're a visitor to this country, and you're being annoying as shit to me, who is also a visitor in this country. And so that kind of, I don't know, that's just funny. Black Friday vibes, exactly. The way you're talking about it, it was like Black Friday, just nerd Black Friday. However, I found much better selections at there's brands of stores there called Book Off and Hard Off, and they're kind of everywhere. They're almost like, it's like used stores for it's bookstores that also carry games. Hard Off is more of like an electronics store that also carries games. And when I visited these ones, especially outside of the main districts, like taking the train line a little bit outside of like Shinjuku or Shibuya or Akihabara, I found much more spacious stores, much better selections, much more chill atmospheres, and that's where I got a big old bag of Japanese N64 games. I bought, relatively cheap, especially compared to Akihabara. So when I meant that it's lost its mojo, I still encourage people to go there. First time in Japan. To me, Akihabara kind of became to give it like an American analog, something like Fisherman's Wharf or Times in San Francisco or Times Square in New York, where I recommend everyone going there once, but once you've gone there once, you kind of don't need to see it again, right? And that's how I felt. Yeah, kind of a bummer, but Tokyo was still an absolute delight, and I can't recommend going to Japan enough for people. I had an amazing time. Yeah. And Deebs, thank you so much for $2 dono a little while back. Rocket Power mentioned Woogity Woogity Woogity. Now, is that Rocket Powered the cartoon or Rocket Powered the video game whose name? What is the Rocket Game Sucker Punch? Rocket Robot on Wheels. That was the game I was thinking about. Rocket Robot on Wheels. That was the first, I want to say the very first Sucker Punch game ever made. It was before Sly Cooper. The only game before Sly Cooper they made was the N64 game Rocket Robot on Wheels, published by Ubisoft back when Ubisoft was 2 words. Ubi space soft. That's a fun fact. Yeah, didn't have anything there. Rocket, Robot on Wheels. Excellent. All right. We've made it to the time of the show where I asked my co-hosts, what do you guys been playing and watching? I've been playing Pokopia. Obviously, I feel like I don't need to go over Pokopia anymore. There's a whole goddamn video on Pokopia. Watch that video. Eric, if you can, please, can you put a link to the video? And can you hold the audience at gunpoint and say they can't leave the stream until they watch it? Honestly, I just really loved the Pokemon Pokopia video. I thought Jesse did such a great job on the edit. It nailed the goofs and spoofs that I wanted in there, and then Pat Vanathan crushed the thumbnail. So yeah, really good stuff. Can't recommend Pokopia enough. It will. I'm slowly weaning off. I'm still playing it every day, but I am. I'm looking forward to what my next video game is going to be. I don't know what my next big one is. I don't think it's going to be Crimson Desert, but we'll see. I've been playing on my personal channel. I've been playing some Psychonauts 2. I've been jamming through that, which, let me tell you guys, what a delightful game. I haven't played it since launch, so it's been about 5 years. A really excellent sequel. I've been talking about this on the streams. One step down from the original, feels like the levels are kind of missing a je ne sais quoi to them. They're missing, they're still creative. They're just missing some, like, internal, incredibly memorable fun to them that was persistent almost throughout the entirety of the first game. However, the visuals, the world building, the story, the actual platforming mechanics, the writing, I all think are a step up in the sequel. So minus that, it's like, to me, the sequel is 6 steps forward, 1 step back, which is still 5 steps forward, baby. That's what I love to see. Psychonauts 2, great game. Highly recommend that to everyone. But I guess the last thing I want to talk about, we can weeb shit a little bit. Yeah, Tomodachi Life is, I'm very much looking forward to Tomodachi Life. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be. I feel like I need to go back and replay a little bit of the first one. Eric, I know you're a Tomodachi boy, so maybe we could become Tomodachi bros. That could be fun. But yeah, that's definitely going to be one I'm going to be covering, because God knows Yahtzee's not going to cover that. So don't worry. We'll Tomodachi together. It'll be fine. But the last thing I want to talk about, not what I've been playing, but it's what we've been weebing. Nick's not here. Nick's not here to look bored and play with his dogs. So we could talk about weeb shit. Lucky D. Roo over in the Patreon, who also, Lucky D. Roo, you do sound like a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Said, on the weeb shit note, the One Piece live action adaptation has brought tons of curious new folks into the fandom, which has been incredibly heartening to see. Are there any other adaptations that you've seen inspire such a groundswell of enthusiasm for an already well-established property that's beginning to tread new waters? I swear to God, no pun intended. I wanted to mostly focus on One Piece because that's what I've been really diving into because I didn't eat a devil fruit. I can dive into the water all I want. I didn't eat no gums. I'm perfectly fine, Luffy. I think I've finally been One Piece pilled. I loved the first season of the live action show. Never watched the anime, never read the manga. I loved the first season of the Netflix live action show. I thought they just fucking nailed the casting, like from the crew of the Mary to the weirdos they meet along the way, and that just continues in the second season. The introduction of the Baroque works, kind of a what I think is like a group of assassins, but everyone's got funny names. You got numbers in your names. You got days of the weeks in your names. The way they just feel like ripped from the pages of the manga, the frames of the anime into live action, I think are just excellent. I love that each episode has like this. It has like a really nice message to it, and I feel like I'm just becoming sappy. But like the end of the second episode, they have this with the whale, whose name I keep forgetting, Labubu. The whale might be called Labubu. But the message at the end of the episode with the whale was fucking beautiful, like genuinely beautiful. Like this show has an incredible sense of adventure, but B, just like a really strong beating heart to it, to the point to where not only am I in love with the live action, Laboon. Thank you, Eric, not Labubu. Labubu are those little nightmare gremlins that people have on keychains. I have finally decided to watch the anime. And I'm 12 episodes in, and I think this is the time I'm going to stick with it. I think what have I been watching for the next several years of this podcast? I think is going to be One Piece. And I want it to get to that point, like hearing the way, folks like folks I know in real life, like Casey, or people I follow on the internet, like Eyepatch Wolf or Mother's Basement, these YouTubers who I really like, talk about One Piece as this kind of totemic work. I'm excited for that. And I like a big chunky thing. I like a big meaty story. And there's a couple video game big meaty stories that I haven't gotten to yet. I did, I went through all my Resis. I went through when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out. I went through all the Final Fantasy VII games, including your Crisis Cores and your Dirge of Cerberuses and whatnot. The Xenoblade games, which if I'm going to do Xenoblade, I kind of want to go back to replay Xenogears and then replay Xenosaga trilogy for the PS2. So I want to create a big fucking meaty breakfast out of that. And then Fluffy Canuck with a $5 dono. Honestly, tied into the other one. Just finished Trails in the Sky first chapter. Can't wait for the second chapter. I'm hoping that Falcom, it popped out, remakes the games before Cold Steel. That's the other series where I know Trails has... I know folks like Tyrell and folks in the chat are big fans of it, and I feel like I would too if I just kind of dove in. I feel like I have to choose one of them. I don't think I could choose both of them, right? I can't become a Xeno boy and a Trails boy, so I gotta pick one. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe a coin toss, like an Anton Sugar. See if a coin toss can decide my faith. But yeah, One Piece. Also the third episode of season 2 of One Piece has one of the coolest fucking fights ever put on screen on Netflix. Zoro fights literally 100 dudes, and he counts them out, and he literally fights 100 dudes. And it's just great. It reminded me of like the House of Yellow Leaves, House of Green Leaves, House of Leaves from Kill Bill. What is that place called? House of Falling Leaves? House of Leaves is the book by Mark Danielszewski about the house that's bigger on the outside than it is on the inside. Or vice versa. So I don't think it was called that. But yeah, it was great fight scene. And then the other weeb thing I've been doing is I mentioned this in the Discord, but I got it's not near me, but I got a Kobo Libra Color e-reader. Not for books, but for manga. Because with the news, with us talking about Chainsaw Man, the anime on the Rewind last week, and Darren, writing some really great pieces on Chainsaw Man, and the news that it sounds like part 2 of Chainsaw Man and possibly all of Chainsaw Man is coming to an end very soon, like literally this week, I believe. I decided to jump back into the manga. I had read part 1 and I just dipped into part 2, but I loved part 1, and so I'm rereading part 1. Just about to wrap up the Reze arc. I love this manga. This manga's phenomenal. I'm ready to have my heart broken by the rest of part 1, and I'm intrigued to see part 2. I know part 2 is less universally acclaimed than part 1, but I've heard from some people that it gets kind of better over time, and so I'm intrigued to see that. And yeah, I don't know. I want to become a big manga boy. I want to do my berserks. So if you have manga recommendations, hit your boy up. I'm a manga boy now. Call me Marty Manga. An Inverse guys, thank you so much. $3 dono. Terranigma when? I've still never played Terranigma. Never came to the West. Not an excuse anymore because I have literally 1,000 devices that could play the game. But that's on them. You should have released it in the West. I was out here playing Secret of Evermore. Boy and his dog traveling through time. If you would have given me a Terranigma, I would have absolutely jumped right through that. I think that might be it. I don't think I have. I think that was it. I think that was everything. I think that was all the super chats. I think that was everything. That was my opinions on all the news stuff. I hope I didn't make anyone too angry. You're probably tired of my voice by now, which I understand. I'm sorry if there were too many mouth noises. Eric, I did read Terranigma when I literally just read it. What was going on? I did a whole bit on Terranigma. I started talking about Secret of Evermore. Mirith is even excited that I was talking about Secret of Evermore. But yeah, what it was, I guess, housekeeping stuff. I mentioned definitely check out those videos of mine. Eric did an incredible job at it. Just shout out to, like, I hate when, like, the shorthand for a video is my video. I never mean that, because literally no video I do is ever my video. I guess my streams are my videos, like my personal streams on my channel are my videos. Every other thing we put up is a group effort. Those videos could not exist without the incredible work of editors like Eric on my Resi video and Jesse Galena on my Pokemon video. Incredible thumbnails by Pat Manathan, our artist. So just shout out to them. Shout out to everyone on the team. Really like those videos. Please, really proud of them. Please check those out. Tomorrow we have the episode of Devheads. Full crew will be there alongside Eric. Should be noon central. And like I said, if you want more on DLSS 5 from people who probably understand what it means and will probably have better takes than just getting angry at it like I did, check that out tomorrow at noon. As well as an episode of Unpacked from Nick's grave, not from the grave. He just recorded it before he left. Eric putting that together. So another Unpacked from Eric and Nick about Crimson Desert. And I don't think I'll spoil it. It's sort of just a impressions piece to go alongside Yahtzee's Fully Rambamatic. A little more positive, I would say, than Yahtzee's Fully Rambamatic. Shocking. Someone on the team has a more positive view of a video game than Yahtzee. I know. First time ever. Yeah, and then I don't know if Casey will be back over the weekend for Smash Sunday, but if not, we'll be back with all the normal streams next week, and there should be a brand new episode of Battle Masters on Monday morning that I'm a part of. I could say I'm one of the Battle Masterers. I did a mastering. Did I master the battle? Tune in to find out. That was a lot of fun. That video was great. Speaking of Jesse Schwab and Jack did a wonderful job hosting and putting that boy together. So hell yeah. Normal stream should be back next week. Casey should be back next week, so we should continue Returnal. We'll do the Rewind normal time on Tuesday, and everything else normal. And before we take off, thank you so much, Sussy Guru, with a €5 dono. Also shouting out Terranigma. The first game never make me tear up. Fuck. Maybe I need to just load that. I need to load that on my little emulator. Get some Terranigma up in me. Rocket Powered Redneck, thank you so much for a $2 donor. Thanks for the Marty cast. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Honestly, everyone live has been so sweet. Appreciate y'all in this strange episode. I promise you, this is not going to be a recurring thing. This is just a weird little one-off. And again, if you're listening and you've made it this far and I've made a lot of mouth noises, I apologize. It's hard to talk extemporaneously for 75 minutes while only drinking very little water and coffee. I should have drank more. So I fucked that one up. Mindyul, thank you so much. Congratulations. Squawk! Shout out to Shinji Ikari. Not shout out to Eric putting Shinji Ikari into the little Resi video when Leon Kennedy looked at his hand like a little sick puppy. I know what you did there. It's an emotional moment. He just went and cranked off on the corpse of his friend. Jay, thank you so much. A $2 dono. Thank you for hosting. Great job. Appreciate you, Jay. Thanks for hanging out. Sovereign, again, a €2 dono. Thanks. Great job soloing the pod, Marty. Proud of you. Thank you so much, Sovereign. Appreciate it. And then Deebs, $5 dono. Thank you so much, Deebs. Legit. Great job hosting. Not even that many mouth sounds. You know what? That's going to be in the Patreon cut. Just a lot of mouth noises. We love a mouth noise here or there. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us. So for Eric and Marty, this was Firelink episode number 102, the Fireside Chat. Oh, look at that little baby! Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for your super chats, for your support live, and of course your patronage. We really, really appreciate that. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Thursdays. I'll be back tomorrow night after work, normal time, on my channel, twitch.tv/McBiggity. I will be watching Pokemon the movie 2000. Apparently it's got a bunch of birds. All right, everyone say bye to Vivi. Bye, Vivi. We'll see you next time.